Some people are born with a quiet kind of goodness. They don't ask for recognition. They don't make noise about what they do. They just show up for everyone else. They give when they have little. They listen when no one else will. They carry burdens no one asked them to carry. And somehow they always manage to smile while doing it, always giving, always helping, even when no one notices, even when no one thanks them. This is Daniel's story. Daniel had always been like that. At work, he noticed the little things. The printer jammed? Daniel fixed it. Someone missed a deadline? Daniel stayed late to finish their work. The boss was overwhelmed? Daniel handled it quietly, without a word. He had another quality, one that set him apart: honesty. If Daniel made a mistake, he admitted it. If he saw someone else making a mistake, he told the truth gently, hoping to help. If he promised he would do something, he kept his word, no matter what it cost him. And yet people often took advantage of it. They lied, they cheated, they manipulated. Once a coworker asked him to cover a project he couldn't finish. Daniel agreed. He worked late into the night to make sure it was done properly. The office was silent, except for the hum of the fluorescent lights and the tapping of his fingers on the keyboard. The next day, the coworker took credit for the work. Daniel didn't confront him. He stayed quiet. Because confrontation, Daniel thought, would cause more harm than good, but inside it hurt. It burned quietly, deep in his chest. He wondered if his honesty and effort were worth anything at all. Another time, a friend borrowed money. Daniel was honest about his own struggles and said he could only lend a little. The friend promised he would return it. Weeks later, Daniel found out the friend had spent it on something unnecessary. He could have shouted. He could have demanded it back. But he didn't. He smiled, kept helping when asked, and stayed honest. The betrayal cut deeper than he could explain. It was a quiet ache, a loneliness he carried in the pit of his stomach. Even bigger betrayals came. At work, a project went wrong because a colleague lied about completing their part. Daniel, honest as ever, admitted his own mistakes and tried to fix it. He worked through the night, eyes red, hands sore, heart heavy. The project was saved, but the colleague got the praise. Daniel got nothing. At home, he stayed up late helping his younger siblings with schoolwork. He covered family expenses he barely had enough for. He comforted friends through heartbreaks, arguments, and crises. His own needs were always last. And yet gratitude was rare. Respect was rare. Recognition was rarer still. Sometimes Daniel would lie awake at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering, why does being good mean hurting myself? Why does honesty mean losing? Why does kindness mean being used? The silence around him was heavy. The darkness of his room matched the quiet weight on his heart. He felt invisible. He felt small. He felt like no one could see the person he truly was. Even when people lied to him, Daniel stayed honest. He could see it in their eyes, hear it in their tone, and still he stayed calm. Still he told the truth, even when it cost him. Even when it meant losing favor, losing trust, losing opportunities. He gave his last coin to a stranger who needed it more than he did. He stayed late to help a coworker who didn't even acknowledge it. He comforted a friend who lied to him the next day. And each time he carried the pain silently. Each time he smiled while his heart ached. Each time he wondered if the world would ever see him, really see him. There were nights when Daniel sat alone in his apartment, exhausted, his body aching from work, his mind weighed down by disappointment. He thought about every person he had helped, every favor he had done, every truth he had told, and he realized he hadn't gained friends. He hadn't gained respect. He hadn't gained happiness. All he had gained was exhaustion, loneliness, pain. He whispered to himself in the darkness, if I stopped, if I said no, if I stopped Giving, would anyone care? The silence answered him. No one would. And deep down he already knew the answer. And yet Daniel kept going. He stayed honest. He stayed kind. He stayed good. Even when it broke him piece by piece, even when it cost him everything, even when the world was unfair. Until one morning, something changed. He looked in the mirror and realized, being good does not mean letting people use you. Being honest does not mean letting people lie to you without consequence. Being kind does not mean sacrificing your own life. So he started small. When a coworker asked for a favor he couldn't give, he said, "I'm sorry, I can't this time." For the first time in years, he felt relief. Day by day, Daniel began setting boundaries. At work, he no longer stayed late to fix problems that weren't on his responsibility. At home, he helped when he could, but he stopped overextending himself. With friends, he said no when something felt unfair. And something incredible happened. People began to respect him. Not because he was giving more, not because he was bending over backward, but because he was finally honest with himself. Daniel learned that being a good person does not mean being a doormat. Being honest does not mean losing. Being kind does not mean sacrificing your own happiness. He still helped. He still cared. He still be. But now he gave without losing himself. The same friends who once took his honesty for granted noticed. The colleagues who lied and cheated realized he would no longer be their easy target. Even family began to appreciate his efforts because they were now genuine acts of choice, not obligations. Daniel's story is not just about suffering. It is about courage, resilience, and learning to love yourself enough to set boundaries. He remained honest, he remained kind, and he remained good. But this time the world finally had to meet him halfway. And in that choice, Daniel finally felt free. Now he had learned that saying no does not make him bad. It makes him human. And it allows him to be the kind of person he always wanted to be without losing himself.
Thank you all so much for watching. And if this story touched you in any way, don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this.